Okay, so what we want to do is I'm going to work on his right side of his body. All right, now what I want to do is I want to find the point of his elbow and the point of his knee. And you can see that the point of the knee is inside because it's got a twist, like the foot is twisted, but so is the knee, like that whole leg, top part of his leg is twisted in as well. And the elbow comes down and is pointing more or less directly out from that end. So what I do, you know me, I always put a flat spot. So I'm going to come across and I'm going to put a flat spot right there. And I want to put a flat spot here as well. So that then I can put a square where I figure the end of the elbow is. So there it is right there. It's nearly at the back, so I'm going to put it right in there. Can you see that? And the point of his knee, okay, is going to be somewhere maybe a bit further over. Use my steel eraser on that one. So right away you can see that this part over here, in order to twist this knee, is going to have to be removed, but it goes to 0 at the back, and in order to accommodate, the back of his bum back here. So from his bum to the side of his knee here, we have to remove a little bit of material on that. This one here, remember we went down on an angle, and the reason why we came down on an angle, we have to create the shoulder in here. That shoulder is in here, okay? But the elbow is out here. So once again, that has to go in then on an angle in order to accommodate. You follow me? I see a bunch of worrisome looks there. So this has to be removed, but from this sharp edge here to the shoulder in here. So it's going to go in on a 45-degree angle to remove that hunk of wood. All right? So as this is an angle going to his bum, this is an angle going to the side of his face. Lower part of his jaw. Hi there.
So, question. So it's not a 45 degrees from the backside going down? Just the top?
It will. So it looks like that. So this goes in on an angle here, and this goes in on an angle down here.
Is that a flat angle, or is it you just scoop it?
I just scooped it.
Okay.
We're just taking wood off it. We're approaching three-dimensional. We're still on two-dimensional, but we're getting closer. Okay, let's, with one more, when we're looking at this side of his body, we identified the elbow and the knee on his left knee. Now, we've got a right knee that's down underneath here that we could identify as well. And so I'm going to put a flat area through here. And this is going to be hard for everybody to see, but I want to arbitrarily just find a spot in here, and I'm going to put a square in there as well. And I may move that as time goes by, but that gives me an idea roughly as to where it's going to be.
So you put it just above that curve in the wood, eh?
Yeah, or in the middle of his heel, if you want to look at it that way, the heel of the other foot. Yeah, it's just an arbitrary thing, and you can see in the finished one here, like you're gonna mess that around anyway, because this is gonna be a bulbous here for all the build up, and it's gonna narrow down for his leg later on. All right, so then let's go to the other side, and do a bit of work on it. Again, we've got to get the elbow here. So again, I'm going to get a flat spot. Doesn't have to be very much of a flat spot, but a flat spot. And you can actually see the flat spot on this in the diagram, so you should be able to find that relatively good. And so I'm going to just again, I'm just going to more or less center it on the arm coming down. So there we go, another flat spot. Okay. Other features that should be identified, I guess, or can be identified. And see this notch here, it corresponds to the notch here. And you can see that the belt only comes up and over in a certain location because the shirt and the fat runs over. So you can see it here, and so it just runs from that nice curve there. So let's try and visualize that, and so that will be the extreme part of where the body is the body is protruding. So it's there. So it's out. It's sticking out. All right, but there's no reason why we can't identify. We've got that notch there, so there's no reason why we can't guesstimate that that's going to be the height of where that hollow is going to be below where the bulge is going to be. So we can put a mark in there, and we're eventually going to round this over, but as long as we've left that mark there, we can come back and that'll tell us that, hey, we've got something we've got to address there. All right, so why don't we just take and start to round the edge here and around the edge here. And if you take a look at the finished one, you'll have maybe a better concept of what I'm going for here. So we just want to round these off. We're not trying to give any details. We're just going to round off the body and leave the extremity there and just start to shape. See how this comes down here on a nice angle? But it starts in here and then it relieves wood coming around. Okay? Relieves wood coming around. So if we can start creating those shapes, this is a spot where it doesn't make a whole bunch of difference if we make a mistake. So that'll start giving you the concept of rounding. We'll go from there. And I'll use just a gouge in order to get most of that done. And just to show you here, I'll start to even up to the point of the elbow. See how it starts to round it? We're not giving it any defined shape. We're just trying to get the general, just a general shape, I guess is the best way to describe it. Okay. Likewise with the body, we want to start to get that in the, there we go. So we're into starting three-dimensional stuff at this point. See how it's starting to take shape? Alright, I'll go at it. So it looks something like that, and you can see that I just defined the outside shape. I've never tried to give any detail in here to the arm at all, but I've got the sweep coming down to the big belly from his arm all the way down. I've got somewhat of the back turned, and just as importantly, I got this walrus section here just rounded. No details, nothing at all, just get an outside shape going. I'll pass it around, you have a look at it. Okay, so the same thing applies with the elbow on the other side. Now, you can take advantage of this and modify this if you want a little bit. In other words, if you wanted to turn this elbow so that the flat spot was more towards the back, you would take this piece off here on an angle, and you could make the elbow point more back, or it can come straight out to the side. Now in my finished one, I did it straight out to the side. So, but the same thing applies. We're going to just take the wood off from the side, and I'll just go ahead and do that. I'll try and get this in the camera here this time. I'm going to point that elbow just by doing that. So that's the point of my elbow, and so now I can work myself up, and I won't go any further than just below the wrist, the cuff. And the reason for that is I don't want to mess up my opportunities on how I want to do that, the hand at the top. So I'm going to stop. The notch is there. The notch is there. So we're going to just stop it there. So again, I'm just going to remove wood up to that point and start rounding it. That's all. Not worrying about the detail. I'm not taking wood off to create the notch in the elbow on the inside. I'm just starting to create just the point of the elbow. So now you can see that it has to come down, okay? And because there's lots of wood in this area here, that's because see all the wood we've got in here. The reason for that was we had to accommodate that leg originally. We did remove some of the wood, but now this body here can start to be shaped, and so it can be rounded as well. So this here can start to shape. Just remember, you want to leave them bulbers, and then stop cut, come one way, come down the other way. So the question earlier is, what do I use? Well, you can use whatever tool you're comfortable with, but I like this big number 511 20 millimeter. Okay, so right away you got the elbow is pointed and the belly is starting to round, and I'll continue to round it on down, get this rounded coming around here. So there it is with the elbow pointed. I remove wood here, I remove wood down here, and also down here. Notice I've also kind of shaped underneath the elbow here. Eventually we're going to have to create a hollow in here, but we have to have this arm join on to the side of the body, but the hollow is going to be above that in there. We'll address that later on. But just that outside shape, no detail. We're just getting an outside shape. Okay, fine?